Now, if I'd have been a clever fella, when I chopped the mould in half, I would have drilled the holes for the timber ladder that I used to secure it back together. When I actually put it back together, I would have drilled it through all the smooth sections and not the anti-slip. It's coming back to bite me on the ass. So I've got a bit of a plan for each one of those holes. I'm going to drill them out with a beveled edge, just so it has a conical shape to it. And then I'm going to fill the hole to just below the level, and then put some gel coat in it and use some of this anti-slip pattern that I have. Now, I've got a 10-foot long piece of this that I used for making some certain sections, particularly down the center of the hull. Now, the issue with that is if I just glue that down over the top of one of those holes, it's going to spill all over the other anti-slip, and then I'm going to end up with even more of a hodgepodge design than I will have if I just deal with the hole itself. So what I've done is I've got a small hole saw and got rid of the drill bit out of the center, and I've drilled a number of pucks, and such as these, and made myself these little guys. Now, what these are actually anti-slip pattern discs that I can wax up and take them down over the top of the wound, or over the top of the hole, and then once it's all set, then lift the actual puck off and hopefully end up with a reasonable blend. Now, a lot of the time we're going to have things like tracks and ropes and solar panels and the works on the top of our deck, and handles and grab rails and the works, but a guaranteed wherever I'm going to see every day is going to be one of these holes. I'm hoping this will be more than enough. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to conically shape each one of those holes, make sure it's filled to a level to about 2 or 3 millimeters below, fill it with gel coat, or mask around it, fill it with gel coat, and then stick this puck on top. So that's my plan. I think it'll work. It's worked before when I've repaired anti-slip on Interim and on a couple of other boats, but certainly this this idea is going to take some time. I'm going to need about 25 of these. I've got about 15 of them made up already out of this piece, and I've got another piece here I'm going to go for, and then I'll get down to this piece. These are all offcuts of the anti-slip, and this will be a good solution. Right, so I've got some masking tape, and I've actually cut around here, and the idea is I'm going to wax these little anti-slip pucks up and put some gel coat in there, and then just sit that in place and tape it down and leave it for the day, and then hopefully I'll be able to demold that and end up with a result the same as the surrounding anti-slip. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll certainly look better than it looks now, won't it, mate?
Whatever you say, boss.
Yeah. Lots of meticulous planning going on here. It's taking a while to get all this organised, but this is one of my big problems, is these little dots. So I'll get onto some gel coat now. So I'm going to put bugger all catalyst in here because I've got very little gel coat here. I don't know how this is going to go. At least I'll be able to see it. One or two drop. Oh, it's probably too much, but that's probably about enough, I think. What do you reckon? Not enough.
Well, put the stick level, flush.
I don't want it flush with the tape though, I want it a bit below.
Well, when you push your stamp in, won't it spew some out the side?
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of relying on. Alright, I'm going to try and line it up sideways. Let's just see what it looks like. No, it's not enough.
No, it's not high enough. You're going to have to put it in maybe a little bit higher and let it spew out the sides.
You're right. I think that's the go. I'll just let it spew onto the masking tape. Now I'll just have to fish it off.
Well, that's why you put the masking tape on, son.
Pretty finicky work, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you might need tweezers. That's definitely made of stamp.
cares as long as it's flat. Well, only time will tell. We'll have to see how that comes out. Alright, so we've done a few and they're pretty good, aren't they, mate?
Very
I reckon
good,
once
son.
we tidy these up and give them a buff, but the idea is I break the puck off. This is only about 2 hours after I did them, so I break the puck off and then razor blade across the top.
You actually look like you know what you're doing, son.
Oh, I've actually impressed myself this time for the first time in a long time. And I'll peel this off. But I'm doing it while it's still a little bit flexible, and I find that that's a bit easier. If this was rock hard, I might struggle to get them off.
It'd be brittle, wouldn't it?
Yeah, brittle, but real. You could bring up the rest of it, but then if I just razor blade the excess off like that, mate, look at that. You're not even going to see that once I clean these up. Bit awkward because you're dealing with not a level surface. Spot on. I think they come up really well. Let's do another one up here. Yeah, look at that. That's great, eh? Pretty happy.
Taking less time than you thought, anyway.
Yeah, no, it's been good actually. This is one of the things I was worried about taking a long time. So, yeah, this is,
Slice around it.
Probably better with a proper razor blade, eh?
Or a sharp one.
Yeah. To say that I've had a win is an understatement. This whole method of doing these anti-slip pucks, I mean, what a cracker of an idea. I've proven the concept down on the front there. All those ones are off. So these ones up on the bow, there's only 4, and that one there, spot on. That's going to replicate almost perfectly. I mean, once I buff that up, you're not even going to notice it. Same deal with this one here, here, and here. So anyone wanting to know how to repair anti-slip, that's the answer. And the good thing is I can see them all. So they're all that orange tangerine sort of colour, and pretty much I've finished all the holes, and that's just brilliant. All I need to do now is I need to re-glass the front of this here and re-gel coat it, because that's really uneven and I want that dead flat, and mask this up, fair it and spray it, and that's going to see the end of the slot. So I've just tinted a bit of neutral gel coat with some orange tint. I don't have any reds, so basically that's just going to highlight where I need to then go back and repair. Very careful catalysing. I'm only doing about 50 mil at a time because I don't want to get in too hot, because I haven't got a lot of time to dispense this. So any hole that's on a smooth section will be repaired with this orange gel coat. And make sure that I'm giving myself the best chance possible to demould this boat without any stick-ups. Right, it's not very pleasant under here. Okay, where do I start? Might make a saw, eh? Right, so we're propping it up underneath because we're getting a bit of bounce, and we're noticing with 2 or 3 blokes, and what's going to happen with that is I'm going to get in there and be walking around gel coating and putting the laminates on, and the problem with that, John's stomping around on there, it's going to flex and possibly...
I can feel that, Ross.
Oh, it's not in there yet. You ready? Oh shit, getting showered in shit. Yuck.
Is that in?
No, not yet. So we've got a number of props under here, but there's just not enough. I need about 6 or 7 props, I reckon. Right, can you just walk around here and tell me how strong that is now? Hang on, hang on. Right, let's have a walk around. Here, I'll get the camera. Right, walk around.
Wobbly?
It's looking much better, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not moving as much. Maybe on the ends, watch me, I'll walk on the repair. Is that moving here?
Oh, it's only jiggling, it's not bouncing like
No.
it is, so jiggling I can handle.
I don't think there's any chance of delaminating when you're doing it.
Yeah, what about down on the coach house roof? Do we need to do that? No, right down where the windows are and that. Oh yeah, that flexed. So I need one underneath that bar under there.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon we basically masked up this entire centre slot right down the middle of the boat, all the way from the bow all the way down to the cockpit door. Now I'm hoping to spray this all in 2 shots. I reckon it's going to take probably around about half a litre of gel coat. Not going to take a lot, but it's going to need to be pretty accurate. So I've masked this up in sections so that if I run into problems, and I always expect problems when I'm spraying gel coat, I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things about the stuff. It's a totally unique product when it comes to spraying, and it doesn't matter how much prep you do, always something could go wrong with the gun, the compressor, anything with the product itself. So I'm going to go up and dilute a bit of brush gel coat and create spray gel coat with some styrene. I'm going to mix it at around about 5%, and that's going to thin it just enough to be sprayed. It's similar to when you're spraying car auto paints. You thin them down to get the right viscosity. But so this is basically going to be a pretty quick spray up. Probably only take me about 20 minutes to do this, and then it'll be done. And I'm going to remove that plastic pretty quickly. The only area I'm really concerned about is this part here where I've got the anti-slip, and I've built it up with double-sided tape. I've actually created a 2mm high wall to create a little bit of a dam of gel coat that is actually raising it to the level around it, and so that you actually have a step up in the actual anti-slip. Now, because I said it, it's obvious that it was going to happen. I had problems with the gel coat spray delivery. What it was actually, I'd used brush gel. It was a pretty cool day the day I did this, and I only diluted it down with 5% styrene monomer. Now, what probably should have happened and what I did subsequently was to add another 3%, making it a total of around about 8% on the second pass, and that made a massive difference to the sprayability of the gel coat, and it actually delivered quite evenly. The first lot actually came out in spatters. It was way too thick for my high volume, low pressure gun, and I usually spray around 40 to 45 psi. So if anyone's spraying gel, 2.5mm nozzle is the key, and this gun is great for top ups and little touch ups. Righto, so that's not a bad first pass given the gun problems I had, but that was to be expected. It's just part and parcel of spraying. You're always going to have problems. But so what I'll do is I'm going to go into town and get some more spray gel, because I thought I had enough, but given I wasted a cupful, which is not too bad given what I've just achieved there, but I'm going to do another coat. I was going to tear the masking tape up, but I think one more coat will give me a little bit of a better depth with which to polish back, and there's a couple of little uneven spots that I want to make sure that I fair out. So I'm pretty happy though. I mean, that's come up quite well. I'm going to get rid of all this, spend a couple of days polishing, but I think I'll add a little bit here, Johnny. A little bit low there, probably a touch low. It's not very low though, is it? It's not too bad.
Pretty good.
So the masking on this job has been pretty insane. There's been a lot of thought go into it. What I've had to do is build up this section here because I'm trying to increase the smooth section. So I've built that up, fed it back 2 or 3 times. What I've also done is I've actually masked it with masking tape along the anti-slip line, and then I've added a 1.5mm thick double-sided tape and then masked it again and then stuck my plastic down. What that's allowing me to do is to build up to a little bit of a higher height around here, which actually replicates the surrounding smooth area. So there's a little bit of a ridge that I want to actually increase the height of my anti-slip in reverse when it actually comes out the mold. Now I've got quite a gap here to fill. Now if I was actually building a boat, or actually on the boat itself rather than the mould, I would take time to fill that with glass, make sure I build it up before I then feather it back. Because I'm running out of time, I'm going to fill this and then I'm going to gel coat over it, because remembering it's only a mould, I need to make sure that I get the structure right, and I haven't got time to rebuild all this. It's only a mould, and it doesn't matter if it breaks away at the end of the day, it's only going to leave a little bit of work to do to restore the mould again. But for me, just fairing it with some fairing compound, and it's going to be reasonably thick. I mean, we're talking 2 or 3 millimeters of this stuff. Really isn't a structural repair, but it's certainly going to give me a heap of speed to go forward, because I need to get it done today so that when I spray the gel here tomorrow, I'm buffing that, it's ready to go. So I'm pretty happy with that. I've got it all masked up. I'm going to spray some spray gel coat onto there, and then I'll feather it back and sand it back to a point where I can then start to polish it like I've done with the remainder of the repairs here. But that's about as fair as I can get it without starting to add more layers of laminate underneath. Now, done. Ha-ha. Picture, if you will, the most mind-numbingly boring job a person could ever do. Multiply it by about 10 and you've got my job. Polish and gel coat, particularly when you're trying to get a perfect finish, is just tedious. And this area here, I sprayed this yesterday afternoon, and we've got a high humidity, so it's still a little bit tacky. It's not quite the way I like it, but I've started polishing it. I've been on that for an hour and I'm not even halfway there, and that's a 3 foot long section, and I've done 43 feet, and that's only in the first layer. That's only the first grade of sandpaper, so it's starting to smooth off. But I don't whinge, because I really do love the sensation I'm going to have in 3 or 4 days when I'm finished polishing this guy out, all of the seam repair, or they're down the side there. Rather than clean it with spirits and things and alcohol, I've actually chosen to 1200 grit all the smooth areas of this mould. There's quite a lot of ingrained dirt and stuff that needs to be removed first, so I'm going to basically give it a wipe with some fresh water, and then 1200 grit the whole surface, because the surface is actually pretty good, and right up in the bow they've already started to polish that out. And by polish I don't mean with a buffer, I mean with the 1200 grit sandpaper. By doing that, I'm actually taking any surface grime that might be there and any little imperfections, flattening them out, and then I'm going to come through with my mechanical buffer and buff this out 2 or 3 times, this whole mould. Can you picture it? Yes, building something like this is like eating an elephant. You get one bite at a time, and you know, you fail to see the end, and then all of a sudden it all comes together. But I'm going to spend today just on that rear cockpit floor. That's got to be perfect. That's going to be the area that I'm going to walk out and spend all my time on, hopefully, whenever I get this thing finished. It's pretty good. I mean, really, that's actually not too bad so far. I certainly wouldn't want to pull a product off it, but certainly, you know, give me another hour or so, and that's going to be as good as the original mould surface, and it's pretty well fared out. It took a little bit of time to do, but it's so essential, because it's one of those areas I'm going to look at every single day and think I could have spent some more time on that. Better off to spend the time now and not later.